Next man up, 1025, The Game. Jake Lyman, joined by Cory Curtis from News 2 in studio. Parker Kelly behind the glass. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Cory, out last week. It's been a couple of weeks. Excited to have you back.
I know you are, and I don't blame you. No, I'm kidding. It's great to be back. I missed not being here. I debated calling post surgery.
Yeah.
That would have not been good. So you're fortunate that didn't happen.
It could have been entertaining. We might have just had to have the dump button ready, but
I had some conversations that I was told about afterwards that I do not recall.
You didn't miss much. We actually weren't on the air all that often because Mike Borgonzi was speaking for so long. So we just took all of his press conference and didn't have too much to do. But
it's nice to hear somebody actually answer questions.
Yes, he was good. I've said all week that I think that was the best press conference that we've seen from a Titans official in like 5 years.
Well, as Paul was saying, that it should be the norm. I think the big thing is just having one guy up there and one voice.
Right.
You know, when you have two guys up there looking at each other like, are you going to speak? Are you going to speak? It's uncomfortable for everybody. If he's in charge of personnel, he needs to answer the personnel questions.
Yes.
Okay. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. And I don't care if he wants to do it or doesn't want to do it. That's the job, and you do it. Now, how you answer the questions, that's entirely up to you. I remember when Mike Reinfeldt was the GM and said absolutely nothing, and it was just mind-numbing. I think, the dose of reality he dished out was good because you don't want to sound disconnected.
Right.
I mean, I can cite examples of that, but when you sound disconnected, I think you lose players, you lose fans, you lose everybody. When you sound connected to what's going on, that's the first step. What's the first step in getting help? Admitting you need it.
Yeah, admitting you have a problem.
Yeah, and so admitting where they're at and how they're going to get there, I think is the first step. And I think it was a relief.
Yeah,
for people to hear that to say yes, we're bad. Thank you.
He was very open and honest, and you could tell that he had the pulse of the fan base coming out and basically saying, like, I know you're frustrated. And then when he addressed the Jarvis Brownlee trade, he said, I know this has been controversial around here. So at the very least, he was willing to own up to some of the things that have happened lately.
And that, that's what you have to do is just own up to it. Look, if you're going to make tough choices that are unpopular, that's the job.
Yep.
But you just have to stand up for them. And you have to believe in them, and if they're really bad, you get fired like Nico Harrison.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you make your case to the fan base, and put reason into it, whether they like it or not, they'll give you some leeway.
Yeah. And Nico Harrison, the latest example of horrible moves as a GM that, unsurprisingly lead to him getting fired less than a year later.
I don't think trading Luka and trading Brownlee are on the same scale.
No, I don't know.
But we'll find out.
The A.J. Brown trade, I think, would be more closely related to that.
Yes, it would.
We saw the same thing happen to the GM who made that deal less than a year later.
And it had the same results for the organizations.
Right.
It was catastrophic.
Yeah, and
catastrophic.
The Mavericks somehow lucked into the number one pick and got Cooper Flagg, but still has not ended up getting them back into.
It's early. He's played about 5 games.
Right.
So maybe we give him 7 or 8. To bring the Mavericks fully back.
I think Titans fans would agree with that timeline. 8 games in, he's a bust if he doesn't actually start producing.
We're talking Cam Ward, and I know we got a long show ahead of us, but I did it in my show yesterday. I projected his numbers over 17 games. He's 3,350 yards.
Yeah.
When the last time the Titans had a quarterback throw for 3,300 yards? It was Ryan Tannehill in 2021.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, that's not to say he has been great. That's not to say he does not need to get better. He absolutely needs to get better. But I think we're acting like he can't complete a pass.
Yes,
and that is simply not true. Now, third down, and I'm glad they embraced this.
Yeah,
third down is a massive problem because number one, they don't run enough plays because they can't stay on the field, and they need to run more plays. All right, to get Iamaner the ball, to get Chig the ball, to get DK the ball, all right, to get Spears touches, you've got to stay on the field. And they're not on the field long enough to get these guys the ball in volume at all. 28% does not get it done.
It's really bad.
And look, it falls on everybody. And you always hear the excuses. It goes back to first down, and I'm down with all that.
Yep.
But the bottom line is this: the quarterback has to make more plays. The quarterback on third down has to find a way to move the chains, whether it's running, whether it's throwing, whether it's whatever. He has got to find a way to do it. And I don't mean to put it all on him, but I'm going to put a lot of it on him because that's the job.
Yeah. I mean, Cam Ward obviously has underwhelmed through the first 9 starts of his career. I think this is an important week coming up for him off the bye week. And
tough one.
Mike McCoy has come out and said that they've tried to make some adjustments. They've gone through the film of, hey, Cam, here's what you're struggling with mechanically. Here's some decision-making problems that you've had. Let's get better at it. And you're right. It is a tough one. This is a Texans defense that held you scoreless the last time you faced them.
You got Hunter and Anderson coming off the edges. I think they've each got 7.5 sacks. Is that right? Here's a crazy stat for you. The Titans and Texans have the same amount of sacks.
Really?
Yeah, look, if you would have given me that bet before the season, I would have lost my house.
Yeah. I got to say, the Titans pass rushers have actually...
They've way exceeded expectations.
And you traded one away in Draymond Jones, but like Jihad Ward was a guy you took off the streets.
He's been a godsend.
He's been great. You probably get Arden Key back at some point.
Yay.
He still hasn't had his little stretch of
his 2-game stretch
of 3 sacks in 2 games before he falls off the face of the earth. You could get Jeffrey Simmons back this week. So
that's Simmons and Ridley that's what I'm watching this week. See if they're back. You would think the timeline is pretty good for that.
Today's injury report is going to be interesting for sure, because those 2 guys have been out for a while, both with hamstring injuries, and those can linger, as we know, sometimes through the entire year. But
Ridley's looked worse.
It did.
I mean, because when he came out, it was like, oh, yeah, he's done. And Jeff was just like, it's like, do I have hamstrings? What is this? He seemed like bothered.
Yeah.
Like wasn't sure what it was.
And the way Jeff has been posting on social media, it seems like he's coming back.
I'm ready to roll.
Yes, he has been putting it out there over and over that he is ready to come back. So I think Jeffrey Simmons will play on Sunday. Ridley's the interesting one. And as much as you do want to see the young guys, like you want to see DK and Ian Manor continue to get a ton of looks, Cam Ward needs Calvin Ridley back on the field. You need a guy who's experienced and you can trust. And
can you trust him?
I know the drops have been bad.
Okay. But I'm going to ask you, do you know what percentage of passes of targets he's catching?
I don't actually.
It is well under 50%.
Yeah.
So that says drops. That says not on the same page. I mean, that has not been a good combination.
I will say trust maybe isn't the right word, but he was the go-to guy for Cam Ward throughout the preseason. And, when you got late in the Cardinals game and you needed a couple of throws, that's where he was looking, was to Calvin Ridley. I think it's a nice safety blanket to have for Cam Ward, at least in his mind, that he has Calvin Ridley out there.
Look, is he the most talented receiver they've got?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not arguing that. And would you like to have him on the field? Absolutely. I don't look, they're not going to get him back. And you're like, okay, 6 catches, 100 yards. There's no reason to expect that.
Right.
None whatsoever. I would just like to see some consistency. I'd like to see him catch 70% of his targets.
Yeah.
Okay. If we can do that, if we can see him catch 4 out of 7, that would be progress. Okay. Because right now it's in the 40s.
Yeah.
And it's not good.
He could maybe help on third downs too. And you talked about it with third downs, that it's partially they're not making plays on third downs, but Mike McCoy even said it goes back to first downs too, that they just have not been able to stay on the field because they're getting behind the sticks. You're in a lot more third and longs than you are third and shorts. But even when you have gotten into third and shorts, you really haven't been able to convert those consistently.
I'd like to see what their conversion rate is, 3rd and 5 or less. The Packers went into this weekend at 49%. They're number 1 in the league.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are after Monday night's debacle. But even so, going into this weekend, I think the Vikings were 31, and they were like 4 points higher than the Titans. They were at 32%, and that's a dramatic difference. 4 points. when you're talking about the difference between last and second to last.
It's almost 7% difference between the Titans and Jets right now
For third down.
third downs. Titans 28.4%, Jets are 35.
So the Vikings moved way up, huh?
Vikings are 37 now.
Yeah, they must have had a good day because they were at like 32.
The Cowboys are now in first place in the league at 52%.
52%.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're putting up points.
Based on statrankings.com.
Yeah.
If I can trust it.
But what's the Cowboys record? 3-5
Yeah,
and 1.
not great. So yes, third down's important, but it's not everything. You've also got to be good on defense too.
Yeah. Well, they made some trades. We'll see if it works out.
Yeah, that is true. They brought Quinnen Williams in, which that's a
they also traded for the linebacker, Logan Wilson from the Bengals.
Right. Who?
And I do like that trade. But they traded a 7th.
Yeah.
So that's a great trade.
Right. Go get a player who can help you out in the middle of that defense, and Quinnen Williams too. Talented player.
But they didn't have the money to pay Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
But they got the money to pay Logan Wilson and Quinnen Williams.
And also traded away one of the picks they got in the Micah Parsons trade to get Quinnen Williams.
Yes.
And we'll talk more about the trade deadline later on as we catch up after Cory was out last week. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Our good friend Trey has called in. Trey,
he was
morning.
just on the last show.
Yeah, I'm on all the shows, baby. You know how it goes. Hey, but what I wanted to say, okay, say for instance me, okay, if I'm working a job and the boss comes up to me and say, son, okay, I want you to be manager, okay, and I say, okay, I'm going to be manager, okay, and then he gives me this position to be manager, but I don't show any skills to do this job, then I'm basically lying to myself. And that kind of stems to how I feel about Cam Ward. It's like, okay, you have to have the basic skills to do this job.
Okay, well, Trey, he does have the basic skills. He's got a cannon for
but
an arm.
He's not winning.
He's not winning. Okay, look, what's flawed about your comparison here is it would be like if your boss said, hey, we're gonna give you $3 million to be our manager, okay? And then after 7 days, you don't show any skills. They're not gonna just let you go because they gave you $3 million. They are invested in. No, I'm not, because we're talking about being invested.
You're talking about somebody that's been playing football since he was probably 5 years old.
Yeah, and he does, and he's got a skill set. You haven't even watched him play, Trey. You don't know. You haven't seen him throw a pass. He has to get better.
I watched a little bit of him, and I didn't like it.
Okay. Well, you know what? There are little bits of him I've watched that I haven't liked too.
Hey, Cory.
Yes,
Cory,
sir. Yeah.
Cory, all I'm saying is that from what I'm getting out of it, if we got to wait till next year for somebody to say, hey, he's not the man. Well, how is that going to affect the team? How is that going to affect the fans? You know what I'm saying? This isn't fair to anybody.
No,
but the team isn't expecting him not to be the guy. They drafted him first overall because they expect he is going to be the guy.
Look, they see the things in him that can get them there. They need to clean up some of the other things.
So we should wait till next year before it all to pan out.
All right, you know what?
Yes.
No, you should release him now and start Brandon Allen, or go to the waiver wire and find somebody else who isn't playing. All right, that's what you should do. No, I mean, look, Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix and CJ Stroud.
That's the outliers.
They're the outliers, and also, by the way, all of them regressed in year 2.
Yeah,
all of them.
And look, CJ Stroud has gone even further back in year 3.
Yes. And so you don't know. You don't know. You look at the great quarterbacks.
So what y'all think I should do then? What do y'all think?
Watch the team and hope for Cam Ward to get better.
Yeah, just enjoy the process, man. I mean, see if he gets better. And if he doesn't get better, then you know what? He'll have this year and next year. That's it.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, he's going to have next year.
Thanks for the call, Trey.
Guys, I love you.
All right. Thanks,
have
Trey.
a good day.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, he's going to get next year.
Right. You don't pick a guy first overall to give up on him after one season.
No. And especially, look, we saw Josh Rosen.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Josh Rosen a lot coming out. I was dead wrong.
Yeah.
He was horrible.
Yeah. He didn't have it up here.
No,
Or in here,
well,
I should say, in the heart.
He's just like the smartest quarterback
Right.
that
He
ever
didn't.
lived. But I mean, he was a genius, but he just didn't have it on the football field for some reason.
Yeah.
But
There is not going to be a Josh Rosen, Kyler Murray situation here, especially because the quarterbacks coming out, like, yes, I think they're going to be good enough that someone will want to take them first overall in Mendoza and Simpson, but it's not good enough to give up on the guy you've already got in your building.
okay, let me ask you, who's got a bigger concern right now? The Titans with Cam Ward or the Vikings with JJ McCarthy?
Yeah.
I mean, who is he throwing to?
Right. He's got Justin Jefferson out there and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson.
He's got 3 guys that would be the Titans 1.
Yeah.
All right. And he isn't getting above 150 a game. All right. That's a concern.
Yeah.
And he's in year 2. And I know he didn't play in year 1 because he was hurt. But that's a concern. All right. In Cam, yes, there are unquestionably concerns. I am not going to say that there are not. But there's a lot that needs to improve around him, and there's a lot that he can work on internally to get better. But the arm talent is certainly there.
Yep.
And we say that all the time with guys. Will Levis, the arm talent was there.
Yeah.
But the other intangibles that I will stand by and say this is why I believe in him. His confidence does not get shaken, and he has the desire to be great.
Yep.
Puts in the work to be great. He is coachable. All right. To a degree. He's pretty stubborn on some stuff. But I am confident that he will address things like footwork in the offseason and say last year wasn't acceptable.
Yeah.
I am 100% about that. But I mean, look, I will say it again. The great ones get better over time. You know, when the thing about Roethlisberger and Brady, when they came in, they weren't asked to shoulder the load. They threw 20 passes a game.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I think that's the number one mistake the Titans have made with Levis and Ward was putting too much on both of them. And, but that's where we are. That's where we are. I know we're running out of time and I'm going on and on. I'm sorry.
He's still got half a season of his rookie year to continue to show some growth. And again,
yes,
he's going to get all of next year too.
I'm going to look up what Drake May's numbers were for his first 9 starts today.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that.
It's a good point. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. You can text or call our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We got some good texts on the text line. We will continue to talk Titans on the other side. We'll also get into the college football playoff rankings later in the show as well. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis with you on this Wednesday. 94.9 The Fan is your home for Vanderbilt women's basketball. Today, the Commodores take on Austin P at 6. Pregame starts at 5:45. I'll be making my way up to Clarksville later on this afternoon, looking to get to 3-0 on the season.
They play that in FM Bank Arena?
Yes,
Okay.
up in F&M Bank.
I have not been to that arena.
I have not either. I saw in the notes this is the first time that a power conference team is going to play there in men's or women's basketball.
Nice.
So
I know they're trying to get more events.
yes,
And obviously the Cats are going to play there, and that's
right.
great. So,
right.
Yeah.
The Nashville Cats, that season coming up quicker than it's in the spring. So yeah, up there in F&M Bank Arena in Clarksville. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to chime in. Talking Titans here in the first hour of the show. We will get into the new college football playoff rankings where Vanderbilt is ranked 14th. Looking at this Titans team, Cory, it was a productive bye week for the Titans. As
it was.
you got pretty much everybody that you needed to win. Ended up winning, except for your Bears couldn't just lose against the Giants and help the Titans out a little bit more. Bears coming back in that game, and the Giants still at 2 wins. But the Titans all alone at the top of the draft order as of right now. And we've been asking the question for the last week because the fan base, I think, is pretty divided. What would be better for this team? To lose out the rest of the games and just full on embrace the tank? I know that the team's not doing that. Or to get a couple of wins down the stretch and have Cam Ward and your young players gain some confidence and start to build the culture.
Well, everything I've seen is I think probably 60-70% of the fans that respond say that they acknowledge what's best for the team is to lose and get the highest draft pick. Look, I think you can somebody else said this yesterday, but I agree with it. You root for the results that you got this last weekend, but you also root for your team to go play and win games. Because the Titans could win 3 games and still pick first. They did it last year. Yeah, that can still happen. You don't want your team to go out there and stink. All right, that doesn't make anybody better. You want to see them get better. Regardless of the win-loss record, you want to see them get better and then have the highest draft position possible.
Right.
That's it. And you know what? If Mike Morganzi does his job, you'll get good players. That's his job. He found 3 good ones in the 4th round. They don't all have to come in the 1st round. All right. You can find good ones. Amon-Ra St. Brown was a 4th round pick. Okay. There are good players beyond the 1st round. That doesn't mean your expectation be, hey, we're going to find Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round. But there are good players out there, and you see it all the time. And that's why there are Mitch Trubisky was the 2nd pick of the draft.
Yeah.
Okay. That didn't go too well. All right. So there's no guarantees. You draft as high as you can and you do the best you can. And I acknowledge the higher they pick, the more likely it is they'll get more picks, and that's what they need.
Yes.
But again, you make it happen.
There are also Des Fitzpatrick's in the 4th round of the draft.
There are.
There are. John Robinson was able to find that one.
Ahead of
Amon-Ra
St. Brown. Yeah. Yeah. There's also Trey Smiths in the 6th round.
Yes, there are.
Who you took Brady Breeze.
Brady Breeze. Legend. Titans legend.
Is he still in the league?
I highly doubt it.
No,
he's in the CFL.
Oh, he is?
Is he really?
Former Oregon safety, right? Yeah. Right. Brady Breeze.
Had the scoop and score in the Rose Bowl versus Wisconsin?
That sounds right. Was Brady Breeze a contestant on Where Are They Now? Is that how you know that?
No, I just love college football.
There you go. You know where Brady Breeze is. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll get to some of your texts on the other side. Wes from Hermitage with an interesting question. 4405 putting in there, LeBron is the greatest basketball player of all time and Steph is better than Magic. Don't know what that has to do with anything, but that's a text that we just got. So
that's insane.
I knew Cory would have thoughts on that. I don't know, but I did not get to see Magic play, obviously, but
yeah, I did.
But Steph Curry's pretty good.
Yeah, Magic was a 6'9" point guard.
Yes.
Okay, that would be unusual today, and now we're talking about 40 years ago. So yeah, I mean, before his unprecedented tweet game, he was an unprecedented point guard. Yeah. Who, by the way, was so good that when Kareem was hurt in the NBA Finals, they started him at center.
Yep.
And he put up a double-double.
We got back-to-back texts here saying embrace the suck. So I guess we're getting
Well, I think those people are more vocal,
yeah.
and that's fine. That's fine. But again, whether you're picking first or you're third, you still got to get it right. Okay, you still got to get it right.
4405 is now talking about Magic being a 6'9" Ben Simmons. He has no left.
Wow. Wow. It was a different game then. People look, teams shot 1 or 2 threes a game back then. The 3-point shot was a bad shot back then. Because, by the way, back then you could defend the 3-point line.
Right.
Now, if you breathe on someone, they get 3 free throws.
Yep.
And I'm not saying, well, back in my day, it was officiated differently. That's all there is to it.
Getting off on a tangent here early on in the show. We will get back to the Titans on the other side. The trade deadline has come and gone. Get Cory's thoughts on some of the things the Titans did, maybe some of the things the Titans didn't do, and also a look ahead at the head coaching carousel. We talked about a possible name that could be out there yesterday. I know Cory has some thoughts on that. We'll get to it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, and Next Man Up, 102.5 The Game. That was Mike Morganzi last week talking about what he wants in a new head coach and how much input he will have in that decision. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. I thought that was an interesting comment from Mike Morganzi, who came out
I thought it was a great comment.
Off the top, said he didn't want to talk much about the coaching search. He said that there's a time and a place for that, and that's not it. But he said that he doesn't care offense, defense. I know we talk a lot about the offensive-minded coach to develop Cam Ward, but he wants a leader.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to find a guy who has experience, can come in and command that room from day one.
Look, we started talking about this in the weeks leading up to Brian Callahan being fired.
Right.
That one of his big mistakes was embracing play caller and an offensive implementation system first and head coach like third. All right. Whoever it is needs to be head coach first. All right. You're the head coach of the football team. And Andy Reid was a quarterback's coach. I think Mike Tomlin might have been a defensive coordinator for 1 year. Maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
That sounds right.
I thought he was the DB's coach with the Vikings when they hired him, but maybe he was a coordinator for a year. I'm not sure. But Mike Ditka was a special teams coach with the Vikings.
He was the Vikings DC for 1 year.
Okay. And John Harbaugh was a special teams coach. So it doesn't matter. You recognize leadership. You recognize leader of men. And as long as you can get everyone to pull in the same direction, it really doesn't matter what the plan is. They'll make it work.
Right.
I mean, I got to cover Lou Holtz for like 7 years at South Carolina. Maybe not that long. Maybe it was like 6. But regardless, he took over a winless team. I mean, absolute dumpster fire garbage. And in 1 year, took them to like 9-3 in an Outback Bowl win over South Carolina. And it wasn't because their talent was that much better. It did get better. But you could write books about Lou Holtz and just the person that he is.
Yeah.
Because I was in it. But one of the most effective leaders I've ever seen. And it just that's it. Just getting everyone to pull. He used to always say, cars in the ditch, who's going to get out and push? And it's true. Because there are people who are going to complain about it. And then there are people who are going to feel sorry for themselves about it. And then there's going to be the group of men and women who get out and figure out a way to get this thing out.
Yeah.
And those are the people you got to surround yourself with. And so you need that effective leader. And that effective leader then needs to hire a good staff, of course. And the GM needs to find good players,
yes,
of course. But leadership is the number one priority for me in finding a head coach. And that's it just about any sport, because not a lot of the great coaches weren't X's and O's geniuses. Okay. They were great leaders. They pushed people forward.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about great military generals, General George Patton. What did he do? He pushed his army forward at every opportunity. He led the way. He was up front. Now, he was a showboat and all that stuff, but he pushed his army forward. And a head coach has got to be the same way.
Yeah, I think it's important to find a leader of men first, and then you have to figure out who the offensive staff is going to be. Yep. That's the second most important thing is, all right, you can lead this team. Who's going to develop Cam Ward? I mean, we see it with the Patriots right now. Mike Vrabel, he's not developing Drake May, but he brought in Josh McDaniel, who has not been a good head coach, but he's a great developer of quarterback play and of an offense. And you see what Drake May is doing right now. He's in the MVP conversation. That's what you need to go out and find is, hey, you can be our leader, but who's going to be your OC? And there are plenty of options out there for a possible offensive mind who could come in and be the OC. But that's also got to be part of the plan if you don't go with one of these X's and O's.
There are
type
plenty
guys.
Of failed head coaches who are OCs that you could tap into.
There are. There are.
But I mean, the Titans are going to have company. I mean, the Giants joined the mix.
Yeah.
You got to think the Cardinals are probably going to fire their coach. The Dolphins are probably going to fire their coach. I mean, there's probably going to be 6 or 7 openings when this thing is said and
that's
done.
what we went through it yesterday, and I think there's going to be about 6 or 7. I think Miami opens 6, 7. We have a quick tangent. We have our Education Day game coming up next Friday,
Yeah.
the 11 a.m. with all
Are
the
you
kids.
banning 6-7 references?
Well, I'm going to have to turn the crowd mic down when we hit 67 points because that's been the story.
You go from 66 to 68.
Right. Maybe we skip 67 entirely. That would be great.
Like
because
elevators, no 13th floor, no 67 on the scoreboard.
I've been seeing all of these tweets about like these kid games where they hit 67 the arena just erupts. So next Friday. Let's hope we go from 65 to 68 or 66
Shay,
to 66.
You guys have 65 points, and Shay's like, we're only shooting threes.
We're only guys.
Only shooting
there
threes.
Is a wall around the 3-point line.
Only threes.
Looking at the jobs that could open up, I think Miami opens up. I think the Cardinals fire Jonathan Gannon. Like that one. Yeah. I don't see that one lasting much longer.
Atlanta.
I think you're going to get 2 out of Atlanta, Cincinnati, Cleveland.
Yep.
The Jets and Saints, I don't think they're going to give up on their head coaches after 1 year, but you never know.
Well, their teams stink. So,
and then there's always the wild cards that happen. The Packers is one that we've talked about too. Could Matt LaFleur be out there? And I think that would be a decent place to kick the tires for the Titans if he does get out there.
That reminds me of like when the Eagles moved on from Andy Reid.
Yeah. And we got all these Packers fans, including Robbie Stanley, texting us yesterday when we said it's crazy that he's coaching for his job. And all of them said, yeah, we want him out. Like, so
yeah, sign me up.
I would take Matt LaFleur in a heartbeat.
Yes.
Again, the grass is not always greener. And Brian Daboll getting fired yesterday. Maybe that's a guy you look at as an offensive coordinator if you do go hire a defensive guy.
He's going to be somewhere.
Daboll,
if he wants to,
he was great with the Bills. Yeah, so, and he did cross paths with Mike Borgonzi with the Chiefs, at least for one season a while back.
Yeah, I mean, look, a guy like him is going to probably go to a place where he thinks helps him become a head coach again the fastest.
Yeah,
that would be my guess. But we'll see.
Which that's not exactly what you want for your young quarterback, is a guy who's gonna. But
look, if whoever your coach is, if he's successful, people are going to want to hire him.
Right.
That's why the Titans wanted to hire an offensive-minded head coach to avoid that cycle.
Yeah.
It didn't work. That's not to say that you can't do that again, but like we've talked about, the number one priority has to be leadership. All right, and then the development of the quarterback, not the other way around.
Right.
But you just have to be prepared to deal with it. You hire the best people that you can, and you trust that you will find a good to replace them. That's the job.
Yep. That's what you have to be looking for, is leader of men, like Mike Borgonzi said, and find a guy who can help Cam Ward take the next step. But obviously, when you have success, people are going to be interested in take your coach away.
So who are the top coaching candidates out there right now? There's Mike
McCarthy,
Jesse Minter, the DC with the Chargers.
Joe Brady with the Bills, the Bills offense hasn't looked great the last couple of weeks.
Could he also wind up at LSU?
Right. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
Then Arthur Smith has been thrown out there, Robert Saleh, Matt Nagy. Those are all of the failed first-time head coaches who maybe you want to bring in.
Yeah. Now, Nagy was a coach of the year 1 year,
right,
with the Bears.
He went 12-4.
Yeah. So he did taste some success where Saleh did not, and really Arthur did not. So that's interesting. I think you can sell that. You can sell Nagy didn't have the pieces at quarterback, to do it long term.
Right.
And I'm not advocating. I'm just saying that Borgonzi could make that case if that's who he wants to go with. But I mean, if LaFleur is available, I think the Titans are going to have to get in line.
I think he would immediately become the number one coach on the market. And same with the Browns, if they fired Stefanski, I think he would be a very popular name as well. So you don't know who's going to be out there, but seems like there are going to be plenty of options for the Titans.
And the guy I continue to advocate for is Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And I think he'll get a number of NFL interviews this year. I think one of them will be in Nashville. And we'll see if anybody wants to pay up, because he is going to be expensive.
Right.
But he is a dynamic leader and a guy whose teams are always better at the end of the year than they are at the beginning of the year. And I think that those are two really really attractive qualities. And I think for a team that lacks stars, I think having a star at head coach isn't the worst thing.
No, I agree with that. I think Marcus Freeman would be a great hire if they, first off, the money has to talk. And if he wants to come to the NFL level, you get him. Maybe you get one of those experienced OCs, former head coaches to come over, whether it's, Dayball, maybe a Mike McDaniel, somebody like that. I think that could be a good marriage to help bring this team back into relevancy. Tonight, Vanderbilt men's basketball takes on Eastern Kentucky at Memorial Gym with a 7 o'clock tip-off. Pregame show starts with Kevin Ingram and Tim Thompson at 6:30 on 102.5 The Game. We'll get to some of your texts on the text line when we come back. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Tonight on Totally Hits 93.3, catch MTSU men's basketball as the Blue Raiders take on Evansville at 7 p.m. Coverage is also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. Lots of hoops around our stations tonight. Vandy men and women, MTSU men's basketball, lots of early season basketball.
Who do the Blue
to
Raiders
get to.
have?
I just read it, didn't I?
Yeah, I don't know.
Evansville.
I was watching Caleb Williams' highlights.
I read it and didn't even remember. Evansville.
You know, the Bears are tied for first.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. The NFC North going to be a very interesting watch down the stretch.
They're not as good as the Packers or the Lions. I'm not an idiot.
But they're in position to be in the playoffs right now. So
yeah, and they run in the football, and the quarterback's getting better. He's not. I mean, his sack numbers are way down.
Yeah,
way down.
I mean, what, 68 last year?
Yes, and he's not retreating like he did last year. And they could have put the Giants away last week if they could catch the football.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it. And now they still found a way to win, which has kind of been the last 2 weeks. So I'm not thrilled with how they've necessarily played, but finding ways to win is a pretty good thing. And by the way, number 1 in the NFL in turnover margin, and it's not even close. They're at plus 14. I think the next number is like plus 8.
That's how you win in the NFL. Win the turnover battle.
Look at the Jags are 5-4, and look at their. I would like to know what their plus minus is in the 5 wins versus the 4 losses, because I'll guarantee you in the 5 wins that plus number is huge, because they have been totally dependent on turnovers to win games this year.
Yeah, let's see.
Are we talking about the Jaguars?
Yeah, the Jags. Trying to see if I can find. There we go. Turnovers.
They're at a plus for the season.
This is not easy to read.
No.
But they got off to a great start. I remember that because they had all those interceptions.
Well,
early on. Devin
were plus,
Lloyd had 4 in like the first 5 games of the season.
They were plus 10.
Yes,
and they were. I don't know what were they 4-1 or something at one point?
Yeah, well, they turned the ball over 3 times on Sunday against the Texans, including that one at the very end of the game.
That was terrible. Okay, let me rant about that.
Yeah,
you have a kicker who can hit from 70.
Right.
You needed like 5 yards to get within his range.
Right.
And you had 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So all you needed to do was throw something quick to the outside and get out of bounds and give yourself a chance to kick. What the hell were they doing?
I don't know. That when you have Cam Little as a weapon, there's a much better chance of him being able to make that kick than you having any chance to make a play downfield. So
it was so dumb.
You were inside too. Like, it's not like this was outdoors.
So I thought it was impossible for anyone to compete with the Arizona Cardinals for worst loss of the season. I thought it might be the worst loss of the decade.
Yeah.
And the Texans just said, hold my beer.
Yeah, they found a way.
I mean, that was a backup quarterback, 26-0 in 1 quarter.
Yeah, Cardinals blew an 18-point lead. The Jaguars blew a 19-point lead in the 4th quarter.
To a backup quarterback.
Right, to Davis Mills. Sorry.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of? The old Cal quarterback, Webb. Is it Davis Webb?
Yes.
Yeah. That's who I was thinking. He played for the Texans too, I want to say.
Was he like Cal Davis or something?
Yeah, something like that.
It wasn't Cal.
He was in the Mahomes, Watson, Trubisky.
I thought you were talking about Joe Webb at first.
No, not Joe Webb.
Former Vikings receiver slash
quarterback. 615-737-1025 is the phone number if you want to text or call. Mitchell on the text line wants us to put this out to the world. He says he believes he's found the true meaning of 67.
You know, you told me this in the break, and I think everybody needs to listen up. I think there's a lot of good work that's gone into this.
He says, look at the 67th element on the periodic table and the abbreviation. It is holmium, and the abbreviation is HO. So that's what Mitchell has done the research and believes that is the true meaning of 6-7.
You know, I'm not going to argue it right now.
The logic is pretty sound.
Yes, it is.
So
that seems to be a pretty consistent lyric.
Yeah. No one seems to understand what 6-7 means and why it's being said so much. So maybe Mitchell's onto something.
Look, if some rap artist incorporated the periodic table, to get across what he was trying to say, I just say, well done. I mean, you way to use your noggin.
Yeah,
kiss your brain.
Nice job, Mitchell. We appreciate you you doing the hard work for us here on the station.
The heavy lifting.
1180 on the text line says, honest question, if you can get a Stefanski or whoever, but he wants to give Levis a real shot, do you do it? Or is it Ward or bust? Is your priority coach or quarterback? The answer is quarterback.
Yep.
And because, yes, a coach is important. You need to have a good coach, but you really need to have a good quarterback.
Well, let me just ask you this. If I gave you your choice 15 years ago, Brady or Belichick, which one do you want?
Right.
You want Brady.
You want Tom Brady, and that's been proven by what
Yes.
they've done since then.
And it's just it's what the game is. It is a quarterback driven business.
Yes. And also, Will Levis is not going to be around next year.
Probably not.
And I also want to make the point that all of the people who are giving up on Cam after 9 games, why did 18 games of Will Levis or whatever, 20 games of Will Levis make you think that he still has potential? Like,
I think he still does have potential.
Well, yeah, he has potential, but like, what did you see from Will Levis that makes you think he deserves another shot as the Titans quarterback, but Cam Ward doesn't?
Okay, who's the most popular player on every team? It's the backup quarterback. All right, that's the old saying.
Except for Brandon Allen.
Yes, except for Brandon Allen. Because look, when what you're seeing isn't good enough, you're going to turn to the alternative. And the Titans are last in the NFL in offense, and so fans are going to turn and say, well, maybe it wasn't so bad. We weren't last then. Okay. I
don't think people are remembering how bad Will Levis was last year.
Okay. And again, I will say square peg in a round hole.
Right. No, Brian Callahan deserves more blame than I think we initially gave him for that.
Yes. And that doesn't mean I think Will was necessarily ready to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, but I do not think with what they were asking him to do was not conducive with who he is. And, he needs to play for Al Davis. I know Al Davis is dead now, but if he could have played for Al Davis, he would have been set. Drop back and throw it deep. No, I'm serious. I mean, that's
true.
That's what he's good at. But I mean, he needs to play action, right?
Yeah.
Keep it simple. Let him use his athleticism some, and play. I think look. I will say this: Will Levis is going to get a shot to start again somewhere.
I agree.
Someplace. He's going to have to come off the bench to do it, but it's going to happen. I mean, Mariota is starting now. All right. I mean, you see it. It happens everywhere. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, they're starters again.
Right.
And they're excelling. They're excelling. I mean, shoot, Darnold might be the MVP.
Yeah.
And so the league is so quarterback needy that you're going to get another shot again. And we'll see what Will's got. I like Will as a person, and I like his athletic ability. He's got a lot to learn at the position, obviously. And I would like to see him be a player in the league.
Yeah. No, I agree that Will Levis is going to get another shot somewhere, but it's not going to be here. And
no, because all the conversations with coaching staff, if you bring up another quarterback, that coach is out.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah. If Kevin Stefanski walks in to the interview and goes, yeah, Cam's okay, but Will Levis, let's give him a shot.
Or you need to trade Dylan Gabriel and get him over here.
He is not going to get the job.
No.
Sorry. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Appreciate everybody's interaction on the text line in this first hour. We're going to transition over to college football on the other side. The CFP rankings came out last night, the newest edition. Vanderbilt moves up a couple spots to 14, and it is a big weekend for Vanderbilt, even though they are not going to be playing. And they don't have to change the channel because all the games they need to pay attention to are on News 2. We'll talk about all of that coming up in hour number 2. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Second hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, joined by Cory Curtis from News 2 and Parker Kelly, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Talk Titans in hour number one. We'll get back into the Titans later in this show, but the college football playoff rankings, second edition of the year, came out last night. Couple of minor changes towards the top. Texas Tech, after beating BYU this weekend, jumps over Ole Miss. They are now ranked 6th in the country. The top 5 does stay the same. You've got Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia. Notre Dame is at 9, Texas 10, Oklahoma 11, Vanderbilt at 14.
Mm-hmm.
So still some work to do for Vanderbilt.
Yep.
But
and they need some help.
They are in striking distance, and they do need some help, and we've talked about it. This weekend, Vandy may not be playing, but there are a lot of big games that could help Vanderbilt's college football playoff chances.
Is Oklahoma, Alabama this weekend?
Yes, it is.
That's a big one.
Pitt, Notre Dame, big one. If Pitt is going, if Notre Dame is going to lose another game, it's probably going to be this one. I think they finish with Syracuse and Stanford.
Yeah, they're not
so I don't think they're going to lose those games. And then Georgia, Texas. All 3 of those games on News 2 this weekend.
Boom!
So, Vandy fans, you may not have a game to watch of your own, but you can just camp on the couch and watch ABC.
Yeah, I mean, look, you could literally, Vanderbilt could not play this weekend and be in the college football playoff next week.
Right. You look at those 3 games, and those are kind of the 3 dominoes you look in front of you that could get you in. Notre Dame, a 3rd loss, they're for sure out. I still make the argument that I think a 10-2 Vanderbilt's resume is better than a 10-2 Notre Dame's resume.
Notre Dame's got wins over Southern Cal, Boise State,
NC State,
who
Arkansas.
Else? Arkansas. They routed Arkansas.
Purdue.
They got the coach fired.
Yeah, they put up 50 on them.
I will always say you can't help it when teams aren't as good as they're supposed to be. I mean, like Boise State was a playoff team last year, and they're on your schedule.
Right.
I mean, that's a legit game, right?
But you can't look at what they thought when they did schedule it. You got to look at the way that
I know,
season...
but like everybody's like, well, they don't play anybody. Well, they
tried to play people.
Yeah,
they played a lot of power conference teams.
Yeah,
and
is it their fault that Stanford is terrible now?
Right.
I mean, they've played Stanford for years because it's a like-minded institution.
Yeah,
and Stanford, by the way, used to be a powerhouse.
I would just look at it and say that your losses are very similar. It would be.
Let me say this to you: how many wins does Vanderbilt have over ranked teams? Teams that are ranked right now?
0.
Okay.
But they have Tennessee at the end of the year, who currently is still ranked.
Barely ranked.
We'll see if they're still in there at the end of the year. Vanderbilt also does have multiple top 10 wins at the time. Yes, those teams did not turn out to be as good. I'm looking at it, though.
And you can't help what happens the rest of the way. And that's just my whole point.
Right.
You can't apologize for what happens.
No, I'm just looking straight up at the resume. Notre Dame's losses are to Texas A&M, who's ranked 3rd.
On the last play of the game.
Vanderbilt,
the last drive of the game.
Vanderbilt lost to Alabama, who's ranked 4th. I would say those are about the same.
No, they're not the same. They are not the same. Vanderbilt lost by 16 points, and Notre Dame lost on the last drive of the game.
But I'm saying they're separated by 1. That Alabama game, it wasn't a 16-point game. They scored on like the second to last play of the game.
Okay. The Notre Dame game was right there all game. I watched that game.
No, I watched it too. And that game was in South Bend as well.
Yes.
Vandy was at Tuscaloosa.
Okay. Let me just ask you this.
I think you're splitting hairs in those
No, I'm
games.
not. I'm not. Who played better that day? Notre Dame against Texas A&M or Vandy against Alabama?
I understand, but if Notre Dame's best argument is that they lost close to Texas A&M,
it's not their best argument. The best argument is that you think they're a better team. All right,
you're not looking for the best teams. You're looking for the most deserving teams. And I think Vanderbilt's resume stacks up better than Notre Dame's does.
I'm so entertained back here. Keep going.
We can go down the list, and if they played, I think it would be very close and very entertaining.
I agree, and I think Notre Dame would be favored in that game.
Yes, they would.
But I'm not,
because I think Tennessee is going to be favored.
In Neyland. Yeah, I agree. I just think if you're looking just at the blind resume of who they've beaten and who they've lost to, Vanderbilt's resume is better.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do that, then we can probably look at Oregon. And
if Oregon had lost,
I mean,
they would have.
Who has Oregon beaten?
They beat somebody, didn't they?
Iowa and Penn State are their best ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so Iowa's their best.
Their best win. They're 21st. but they only have one loss
and
right now.
they barely won a rock fight.
Right.
But it was a good game.
But I'm saying
it was a really good
if
game.
you're 10-2 as Notre Dame, 10-2 Vanderbilt, you're losing to a team that's going to get a bye in the playoff most likely in A&M and Alabama. Vandy's losses to Texas, who's probably in this scenario, they would be just outside the playoff if they're 9-3. Miami would be just outside the playoff as well. That was a Notre Dame's other loss.
Yep.
Look at Notre Dame's wins. Like USC, sure, that's a fine win. Who else have they beaten?
I know they've beaten Boise.
But would you say Boise State's better than Missouri?
Yes. Boise State's been a playoff team.
The resumes don't stack up that way, though. Like Boise State is not better than Missouri this year.
I will say what a team did last year
Or
has nothing to
LSU.
do with what they did this
Right.
year.
But for the last 20 years, you're saying, oh, it's Boise, it's Missouri. The last 20 years, which program are you taking?
That's not the argument, though.
But
I understand Notre Dame scheduled them with the intent to have it be a marquee game, but that's not how it worked out.
I'm sorry that Boise wasn't better for them to beat. All right? I'm sorry. But they can only beat the team in front of them.
Right. I'm saying Vanderbilt's schedule has been harder, and they would be 10-2. That is the argument I'm making, is that if you're looking at resumes, Vanderbilt has played a tougher schedule and ended up with the same record.
At 10-2, they're both getting in.
I don't know if they would.
No, they are. Because Georgia's going to beat Texas,
right?
And Alabama's going to beat Oklahoma, and they're both going to drop out.
Does Vanderbilt leapfrog BYU and Utah with a win over Tennessee?
One of those teams is going to lose another game.
I don't know. Have you looked at Utah's schedule?
Because it happens, man.
They play like Baylor and Kansas.
It happens. It happens. It happens. It happens.
I am just looking at it. If it can't, it's not going to come down to Notre Dame and Vanderbilt, because the committee has basically already said that Notre Dame is better than Vanderbilt. That is the stance that they're taking. I'm just looking at it and saying your losses are similar in terms of who you lost to. A&M, Alabama, they're in the same tier. Texas, Miami in the same tier. Vanderbilt's 10 wins are better than Notre Dame's 10 wins.
Even though none of them are ranked teams.
How many top 50 teams did Vanderbilt beat?
Okay, but you're making an argument. I'm just making it back.
No, I understand. I'm just
saying, well, they did this and they're not this. Well, okay, LSU was supposed to be a top 10 team. They're not. They fired their coach.
No, I know.
How good is that win now? It's not.
But is the LSU win better?
Missouri isn't ranked. You're talking about how great Missouri is. They're not ranked.
Okay, let's stack up the wins, though. LSU, Missouri, Tennessee.
Teams.
If those are Vanderbilt's three best wins.
And by the way, if they beat Tennessee won't be ranked to finish the year. So they will still have no wins over ranked teams.
I understand. I'm saying that 25 is a random line to make, though. Like
sure it is.
LSU, Tennessee.
But that's what you're doing. You're talking about random lines. We're talking about qualifying victories.
I'm matching up the best wins for both these teams.
Okay.
If it's LSU, Missouri, and Tennessee for Vanderbilt, is that better than USC, Boise State, and Pitt? That's the point I'm making. Is Vanderbilt's wins would be Vanderbilt's 10 wins would be better than Notre Dame's 10 wins.
Okay, great.
I think this should be an argument that the committee is having, but I don't think they are. I think they're putting Notre Dame in over Vanderbilt either way.
Look, I think that I'm looking more at the losses, and they both have 2 losses that are not bad. And I think the committee,
I agree with that,
because the committee has said we're not going to punish you for losing tough games.
Right.
That was a change this year. Neither one of them has a bad loss.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So neither of them should be punished for their losses.
Yeah.
But shouldn't you reward Vanderbilt for winning tougher games?
You say they're tougher. I say they're unranked.
I just feel like that's
okay.
Sure.
Notre Dame LSU is a disaster and the coach is fired. They held off Missouri with their backup quarterback.
But
Notre Dame, but they beat a freshman who had to come off the bench. He was their third string. I mean, they did it. They held him off.
I don't see where Notre Dame's good wins come from. Like USC is the only one that you can look at and say that's a quality win. Okay. Every other one is like Purdue is horrible. Arkansas is horrible.
Let's take all of this out of it. All right. And let's put what really matters. Okay. And that's money. Okay.
Right.
So you just said it before. If they played, who would be favored?
Notre Dame.
Okay. Is that because they're Notre Dame and because they are more popular.
I think
or-
Notre Dame is a more talented team, but that's
Okay.
not the duty of the committee.
Okay, but you're just telling me that they're better because Vegas is telling you they're better, and Vegas is the true barometer because their money is on this.
Right. But SMU got in last year. Was SMU better than Alabama?
No. Well, they might have been. Alabama was trash last year to finish the year.
Maybe. But I'm saying that the job of the committee is to find the most deserving teams, not the best teams. If you're looking for the best teams, then
no, I think you want to find the best teams. I mean, I think it's a combination of best and most deserving.
Right. I think
they've changed the criteria. Now they're focusing on strength of record, strength of schedule.
Well, like
that
said,
sort of
losses
thing.
matter now. Who you lose to and where matters now. And that benefits Vanderbilt greatly because both their losses are on the road in extremely hostile environments against teams that were ranked to the top 10 to start the season.
Right.
Notre Dame is going to get the benefit of the doubt because they lost early and they've done nothing but win since. I think you both are making good points on Notre Dame.
And they didn't lose badly. They were
I
were a play away from winning both of those games.
Yeah. And if they had won either of them, they would be a top 4 team in the country right now.
They would, it would be them or Alabama at 4.
The argument I'm making is just that it seems like the committee has already made their decision that Notre Dame is going to be in over Vanderbilt if it came down to it. I don't even think Notre Dame would be on the bubble at 10-2, even though I think Vanderbilt's, I mean, I'm looking at their strength of record is higher than Notre Dame's.
Well, I mean, look, Texas, all right, they're ahead of other people. And why are they ahead of other people? Because they've played great? No. A lot of their season has been terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, their win over Kentucky and Mississippi State, those weren't great. Those weren't great efforts.
No.
Didn't they have like a lackluster win over UTEP?
Yes.
I mean,
or Sam Houston State or something like that.
There's a lot of Texas's resume that is not great. Okay. Who are their 2 losses to?
Texas, Florida, and Ohio State.
Okay. So
Florida,
one to the number 1 team in the country, 1 to hot trash.
Yeah.
Hot trash. Okay. And then you escaped 2 bad teams in overtime in Kentucky and Mississippi State.
Yep.
Okay. But they're ahead of Vanderbilt.
Right.
They beat them head to head. But even if they had never played and those were their records, they would still be ahead of Vanderbilt because they're Texas.
And that is the issue, is the brand bias is kicking in. I kind of thought that
brand bias, who's got more talent?
Texas, for sure.
Okay. And that's what they're going to say.
No,
they're more talented football team.
And I'll take brand bias out with the Texas thing because the head-to-head result is the reason.
But even if, like I said, if they weren't head-to-head, they would still be ahead of Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Oklahoma is ahead of Vanderbilt. Okay?
Oklahoma's losses are to Texas and who else did they lose to?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss, right.
Yeah, okay.
So 2 top 10 teams.
Yep.
Their best win is Tennessee.
Yep.
Michigan.
No.
Michigan, right. Yeah, they beat Michigan.
Michigan's not good.
Michigan's at least, I mean,
they're going to be 10-2. They're going to be the worst 10-2 team of all time.
Well, no, they'd have to beat Ohio State to go 10-2.
If Michigan beats Ohio State, they would have the head-to-head.
They'd probably be in
championship game.
If Ohio State loses to Michigan, it will be a total failure, collapse by Ohio State.
It happened last year. And, that team still won the national championship.
Yeah, this is not a great Michigan team.
No, it is not. And with the freshman quarterback, Underwood's fine, but he's,
Like, I'd be surprised if they don't have a new head coach, if not next year, the year after that.
I agree with that. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll keep talking college football on the other side. Look at Vanderbilt's resume, what they need to happen. Yeah,
that's our first argument.
That is true. We haven't gotten into it really since you've been coming on the show. Notre Dame and Vanderbilt got us going.
And the thing is, I want them both in.
Right. And I think there's a scenario where both of them get in, and we'll talk about that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis. Talking some college football after the CFP rankings were released last night. New top 12. You have a different ACC team in there now. Not the one I expected.
Can we have none? Can we take none from the ACC?
There is a chance that no ACC teams get in.
What's the qualifier for them not to get a team?
There would have to be 2 group of 5 champions ranked higher than their champion.
So that would happen if Duke were to win the ACC
Right.
with 4 losses and James Madison were to win out.
Yes.
Then probably James Madison
And the
the American
American
champ would get in.
Yeah.
South Florida.
Right now, South Florida would be in based on the rankings they released yesterday.
Don't we think South Florida is the best group of 5?
But they're going to have to win the conference championship game against likely Tulane or North Texas or one of those teams.
Yeah.
But the American champion likely going to be in. There's still a chance JMU passes them if they beat each other up in the American.
JMU's playing their way into SEC expansion.
I know. And they just keep coming up with new coaches. Like they lost Signetti.
And Mark Byington.
Right.
I mean,
Byington's doing great over at Vandy.
Amazing.
And then their new guy, I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, Chesney, Bob Chesney. He's getting talked about for other jobs as well.
You know this better than me. Has the same AD hired all these guys, and is he still there?
I think they actually just lost their athletic director.
Okay, because I was going to say
he might have retired.
He should be first on everyone's radar.
Yeah. So they just they appointed a new athletic director in April 2024, Matt Rohn.
Okay.
So previously it was, if I can find it.
No, that's all right.
That's okay. We'll find it later.
No, but yeah.
But yes, James Madison has turned into a great athletic department.
Yeah.
And every time they lose a coach, it seems like they're able to find another guy who keeps them right on rolling.
Signetti's incredible.
Right. And what a game on Saturday. To pull that one off
and we haven't
against Penn
talked
State.
about that. I watched that game, and I think I'm a no on Mendoza.
Yeah. And I think Simpson might end up being the number 1 guy. Like last year at this time.
You're talking about draft or Heisman?
Draft is what I'm talking. Yeah. Last year at this time, Shedeur Sanders was being talked about as the number 1 guy. And then as you went through the draft process, Cam Ward clearly eclipsed him. I think Ty Simpson ends up doing that in the draft process. But Mendoza probably some team's going to fall in love with him and is going to take him.
And I probably need to watch more of him. I've watched a couple times now. And I'm just not seeing what everyone else is seeing.
Yeah.
And that could be a me problem. I fully acknowledge that. But like I sat there and listened to every Heisman Mendoza line they had on Fox in this broadcast. And I was like, are you guys watching the same guy I'm watching?
He's been good, but yes, I think I don't know if I believe in him as an NFL prospect.
I wouldn't spend a 5th round pick on him. And again, Watchy goes first and wins 4 Super Bowls. And Cory, you're an idiot. That's possible. That's just my gut reaction right off the bat. By the way, I ran down the numbers on all the Heisman quarterbacks. Okay, that's Mendoza, Simpson, Sayin, Reed, Pavia, and it is amazing how close they all are in yardage.
Yeah,
they're all in that was it about 30? No, is it 2,300 or 3,300 yards? But it's all very close. It's all very close. It's probably 2,300 yards, 2,400 yards. Yes, it is, because Pavia is the only one over 3,000 because he has 600 yards rushing as well. And so my point that I was making when I was looking at all this is I keep hearing about how Pavia is not as good of a quarterback or as good of a passer as all these other guys.
Yeah.
He's completing like 70% of his passes. His yardage is right there with them. His touchdown passes are right there with him. They literally run every play through him, run or pass. I mean, the ball isn't just in his hands. Every play runs through him for Vanderbilt in every game. And as I look at the Heisman and my Heisman ballot, I find myself asking not who's the best quarterback of these guys, but who's the best football player?
Right. That's the task is.
And I start leaning more and more towards that little guy on West End and going,
After that Missouri game, there were a lot of people saying, how is this guy a Heisman quarterback when he's 10 of 19 for like 120 yards in that game. And then in the last 2 weeks, he comes out and drops 350 on Texas, 375 on Auburn, 3 touchdowns, no picks in both games.
All I heard coming into this game, by the way, was how good Auburn's defense was.
Yeah. And how bad their offense was.
And he put up 500
45
yards.
Yes, he did.
I mean, okay, throwing for 400 is an incredible day. Running for 100 is a great day. Doing both in the same day, I don't know how many times that's been done.
Yeah. 70% completion percentage for Diego Pavia, 2,400 yards, 9 yards per attempt, 21 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Okay.
That's through the air.
Some of the other guys where they separate themselves, Julian Sayin at Ohio State is at an 80% completion percentage. And I think he's got 24 touchdowns and 4 picks.
Yeah, and he's averaging 10 yards per attempt.
Yeah. And now, again, he's surrounded by first rounders and playing a lot of bad teams.
He's only been sacked 5 times this year as well. Crazy.
And then when you look at Ty Simpson, his completion percentage is up around 70 as well.
Yep.
And I think his touchdown to interceptions is 21-1.
Yes, that is correct.
But again, surrounded by great players.
21-1, 24-61 through the air.
So it's
67% completion percentage.
Again, but none of them have the running numbers that Pavia has.
Right.
Mendoza's at like 250 or 300 yards. He's not even halfway to what Pavia has. And you can argue that none of them elevate their team like Pavia does.
Yep. And Diego's going to have an opportunity to leave a lasting impression on the committee.
And here's one other thing that's probably not fair to Mendoza, but I'm looking at it. So they brought in the kid from Ohio last year.
Yeah, Rourke.
Yeah, and who nobody had heard of. And he put up monster numbers. And now you bring in Mendoza, who nobody's talked about, and he comes. How much of it is Cignetti?
Right. It's a fair point.
I mean, we talk about this with Josh Heupel in the Vols offensive system. And, quarterback puts up numbers or whatever, but it's really not indicative of what they're going to do at the next level. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, how much of it is Mendoza? I mean, he's ultimately got to throw the football. And again, I'm not saying any of these guys are bad. All right. We're talking.
No, they're all good.
We're talking about who wins.
Right.
There's only can be one. There only can be one.
And for a lot of these candidates, it's very unlikely, almost impossible that Vanderbilt ends up in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
So a lot of these candidates are going to get an extra game
Sure.
in front of the voters. Marcel Reed might be in the SEC championship against Ty Simpson. Fernando Mendoza likely going to be playing Julian Sayin in the Big Ten championship.
Yep.
So if those are the 4 guys you're playing against, the national audience is going to watch them go head to head, and you're not going to get that opportunity.
Like I don't think Diego can win because he's not going to be in the championship. I think that's going to disqualify him from winning. And I think also playing at Vanderbilt is probably going to disqualify him from winning in a lot of voters' minds. And I think ultimately it's going to come down to the 2 quarterbacks who win those 2 games that you're talking about.
I agree.
And we'll see what happens. I will just say this. It will be a shame if Diego is not in New York.
He should be in New York.
And It will be a shame if he does not receive first place votes.
I agree. I think he deserves a seat. Right now you have those 5. I think those 5 should all be in New York. There's still football to be played, but as of right now, I think all those 5 should be there.
I think Marcel, outside of Diego, because he's not going to be in the championship game, I think Marcel Reed has the most work to do.
Yes.
And you would look statistically and say he has the most work to do. Now, his team is undefeated, so I think that certainly helps. But he's also got Texas coming up and the SEC championship coming up.
Yeah.
And if he has a couple of monster games, he can vault.
Yep. He can play himself right into that conversation.
Absolutely.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We see you on the phone lines. We will get to you coming up next, continuing to talk college football for the full second hour of the show. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Jake Lyman, Corey Curtis, Parker Kelly alongside you, talking college football.
This is my mom's favorite song.
Really?
Yeah.
Parker, doing a nice job back there today.
My mom's like 85.
This one is for Corey Curtis's mom.
There we go.
Carol Bliss, she resides in Dover, Tennessee.
Shout out.
Stewart County. Former Stewart County Volunteer of the Year.
Wow. That's a big honor.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Shout out to Corey's mom playing the hits here on this Wednesday morning. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Clay has been waiting patiently. Clay, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Jake, good to talk to you again. I hadn't talked to you in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while since you called in. Appreciate you listening.
Am I chopped liver over here, Clay? Come on.
No, Corey, I was going to say hello to you too. Last time I talked to you, I gave you props on what you did at Channel 2 Sports. So.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling.
You guys were, talking about the Heisman and stuff like that. And to me, Diego Pavia deserves at least an invite.
Yep.
I mean, when you look at what this guy has done for Vanderbilt football, he's put Vanderbilt football on the map.
Yep.
And, minus the second half maybe of the Alabama game, and the couple of turnovers he had in the red zone, which really hurt. And then the struggle we had against Missouri. Missouri's got a, really potent defense. But this offense has been playing lights out. I mean, I've got to credit Tim back too. And
every play goes through him, Clay. Every play, run or pass, it goes through him.
Yeah. I mean, he's obviously a terrific play caller. And, I proudly wear my Vanderbilt football stuff now, where I had not done that in a while. I even had a guy a couple of years ago, I was wearing a Vanderbilt football T-shirt, and he said I was a brave man to wear that. Well, that's no more.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the schedule Vanderbilt's played, and before the season, if you told me we'd be sitting here 8-2
mm-hmm.
and ranked number 13 in the country, number 14 in the country, whatever it is. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
It is.
I mean, and Diego Pavia is the reason why, honestly, because what else do you want this kid to do? 377 yards passing, 112 yards rushing against Auburn.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably don't win the Auburn game without him. We probably don't win the LSU game without him. I mean, this kid, I think he deserves to be the SEC Player of the Year.
It's probably it's be him or Ty Simpson, right?
Yeah, or Marcel Reed.
Or Marcel Reed. I keep forgetting Texas A&M's in
those three quarterbacks. It's all going to sort itself out, and I do think Pavia should be in New York. But
and by the way, the invites go. It's based on votes.
Right.
He's got to get the votes to get invited. He doesn't have to win, but he's got to receive a high enough volume of votes to get him there.
Yes.
So hopefully, I think it's going to be tough because there's so many quarterbacks on the ballot, and when you look at where those teams are in the playoff rankings, people are gonna lean to the higher ranked teams.
Yeah, and they do draw a random delineation of how many they invite every year. So
I think it's based on like the percentage
of votes, yeah. But sometimes it's only 3 that get invited. Sometimes it's up to 5.
Yeah.
So it'll depend on.
Maybe this is a 5-year.
Right. It might be because
we haven't even talked about Jeremiah Love.
Yeah. There's so many players out there and nobody is pulling ahead, which I think it would make sense to invite more finalists this year because
12 guys.
To be honest, the spread of votes is probably going to be pretty wide because there isn't just 1 or 2 guys. It's a group, and Pavia is definitely in that
how
group.
much of it gets divided by Big Ten vote? You got the Big Ten vote.
It's regional
with 2 candidates.
Yep.
SEC vote with 3 candidates.
Yeah.
All right. And, and then there's going to be a Notre Dame vote. And I don't know how many first place votes Jeremiah Love gets, but he's going to get some votes in the top because you get 3 votes.
Yeah.
That's the way it works. You cast a first, a second, and a third.
Yep.
And that's why they're able to, when you look it up afterwards, you can see how many of each vote guys get for second or third. And so, and you get points based on that. And so, Jeremiah Love's going to get votes. I don't know how many first place votes, but he's going to get votes.
I agree. I think he will be in the conversation, but probably not going to pass up those quarterbacks. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Kenny the mailman has called in. Kenny, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Hello, good friends. How are y'all?
Doing great.
A delight.
Excellent. I want to bring up something. It's almost called the law of unintended consequences. And so this tremendous push, we got to have playoffs, more. It's almost rendered winning the SEC moot. It's like it's no big deal. And us old-timers, that was the ultimate goal. If you were SEC champions and then went to a bowl, how great that was. Ole Miss has never went to the SEC championship game, okay? Never. And their coach is openly saying, oh, we finished third.
Yeah.
It's something backwards here. And just wait till next year. I don't even know how you figure out who goes. Next year, half the teams get 4 home games and some get 5. I don't think people realize that. Can you imagine the Blue Bloods looking on their schedule next year and going, what?
That's the way the NFL is now
day.
with 17 games. You've got some teams have 9 home games, some teams have 8.
Okay, never. And their coach is openly saying, oh, we finished third. Something backwards here. And just wait till next year.
All right.
Yeah, thank you for the call, Kenny.
I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because look, winning the SEC does mean something, but coaches don't get hired to win SEC championships anymore.
Correct.
They get hired to win national championships. I mean, that is just reality.
Right.
If Nick Saban, how many national championships did he win?
7.
Had 7 SEC championships and 0 NCAA championships, they wouldn't be happy.
Who's happier after last season? Ohio State fans or Oregon fans?
Yeah.
Oregon won the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Ohio State won the national championship.
Yeah. And that's regardless. You had a national champion regardless of conference championships before.
Yeah.
It's just how we determine it is different. Now, I argue that this system is far superior because, number one, it gives us better games to finish the season. And number two, I mean, it was always so depressing to watch Florida State with Bobby Bowden drop an early game and know they couldn't win the national championship.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, you're like, good Lord, this Florida State team is certainly as good as anybody.
Yeah.
But they got a loss.
They're 11-1.
In week, well, it was 10-1.
Right.
But they had a loss in week 1 or week 2, and now they can't win it. And that was silly. That was silly. And, and so now we have a system where it affords teams to have a bad day, have a bad call, have a kicker not do his job.
Yeah.
And can still compete for a championship. And as we saw last year, at the end, the best team was the best team. Ohio State was clearly better than everybody.
Yes.
Were they the best team all season long?
Nope.
No. But they were the best team in college football, and that got sorted out on the field where it belongs.
Yeah, neither team that made the national championship game last year would have been in previous years. Wouldn't have had a chance.
No.
And that it is great that we get to sort it out that way.
Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois
right,
last
and
year.
that would have been a disqualifying
The season
loss.
would have been over.
Even with 4 teams, I don't think there was any chance Notre Dame could have gotten in with that loss.
Probably not.
And they go to the national championship game last year. But I get what Lane Kiffin's saying. Like, the worst thing that you can do in this era of college football with the 12-team playoff is go to the SEC championship or go to your conference championship and lose.
Yeah.
Because you had to play that extra game, and now you're probably not getting the bye, so you've got to play another game in the first round of the college football playoff.
We didn't have a championship game until the SEC expanded to 12 teams and had 6-team divisions.
Right.
Okay. I am old enough to remember no championship games. If you're going to play one division like they are now, just get rid of it. Now, they're not going to do that because they make money on it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, all right.
Well, that's what the 16-team playoff in the Big Ten's model, I think they would do away with the conference championship game and instead do play-in games where it's 3 plays 6 and 4 plays 5 for a spot in the playoff.
So, okay. So you'd have 12 teams.
So it would be 16 teams.
Okay.
And the Big Ten and the SEC would get the 4 auto bids in this scenario. The top 2 teams who would have played in the conference championship would be in automatically.
I am not for automatic bids for any league.
I mean, look at the Big Ten this year.
Well, wait. Are you saying you're in agreement for the
No. I'm saying that this is what they're suggesting is that they would get rid of they would get rid of conference championship games and replace it with the play-in games.
I have no problem awarding conference champions automatic bids.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think this has always bothered me about the NCAA tournament when regular season champs don't get in and tournament champs do.
Yeah.
Somebody gets hot for a weekend and they
Right.
make the tournament, but a team who went 24-2, and now gets bypassed by the committee because nobody would play them during the season.
In those one bid leagues, it's tough.
No, it's I mean, and those leagues have the right to not give their bid to the tournament champion. They do it in hopes of getting a second bid.
Yes.
I'm a Missouri Valley guy.
Right.
I lived through it. I lived through both sides of it. And so, but so you don't have to do that. I think 12 games and non-divisional play, get rid of it. Get rid of it. They won't, but get rid of it.
I could see it as these coaches start to focus. I mean, Lane Kiffin, as much as it is tough to hear him say, I'd rather finish third. That's the mindset of these teams is I would much rather
absolutely
miss the SEC championship game and know I'm getting into the playoff.
And win or lose, you've got to play a really tough game.
Right.
That's another game where
injuries
happen. Your guys get beat up. I mean, it's another day where bad stuff can happen.
Yeah.
Right?
1180 makes a good point too here. He says it's even bad to go to the SEC championship and win. Georgia lost its starting quarterback last year.
That's my point entirely.
Yeah.
So get rid of it. You don't need the game's unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary.
And it's going to get to that point.
When we had a 4-team playoff, sure.
Right.
But with the expanded playoff, it is completely unnecessary.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Taking your thoughts on college football on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday morning. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, wrapping up hour number 2. We'll talk some Preds in the final hour, talk some more Titans, but wrapping up our conversation on college football, Vanderbilt ranked 14th in the latest edition of the college football playoff rankings that came out last night, and they have some work to do. But as we mentioned, off this weekend, and they've got their full routing guide on News 2 on Saturday.
They could have a Titans weekend.
They could. If all three things go Vandy's way, it could be the best off week of all time.
What if that was the case for Nashville? That we just found out that Nashville teams were just better off not playing and letting everyone else lose.
The best weekends for our teams are when they actually aren't on the field. The Titans got a lot of help for their first overall pick hopes last weekend. This week, Vandy, you've got 12 hours of football to watch on News 2. You're rooting for Pitt over Notre Dame. You're rooting for Alabama over Oklahoma, and you're rooting for Georgia over Texas. Those are three teams right in front of you.
At least one of those teams is going to lose.
Agreed.
At least.
I think it's a successful weekend if 2 of the 3 lose.
Yeah.
Because that's 2 of the spots. You've probably got to get up to 10 to get into the playoff.
I will put it this way. I will be surprised if 2 of them do not lose.
Yeah. I would think Alabama and Georgia, both those games, they're playing at home. I think they're the better teams. I would expect Alabama and Georgia to win.
Both Alabama and Georgia have a loss.
They do.
And what happens if they both fall to a second loss? All right.
They would both have the resume over Vanderbilt.
Okay. But what happens if a 2-loss SEC team ends up playing in the SEC championship?
That is a good point.
Now you've got a team that's potentially got 3 losses just because they played in the SEC championship. Are they knocked out of the playoffs?
And the committee has said that they do not want to punish teams for losing in their conference championship game because they had to play the extra game and the other teams didn't. But that is an interesting thought of what if we get to a giant tie in the SEC? Who gets into this? I mean, Alabama has the head-to-head win over Vanderbilt.
Yep.
So that's 10-2 Alabama in over a 10-2 Vanderbilt. And Georgia, we were looking at this the other day. Georgia's losses would be the exact same as Vandy. It would be Texas and Alabama, but Georgia beat Ole Miss, which is a better win than anything Vanderbilt has. And Vanderbilt would beat Tennessee in that scenario too. Yeah. So you're rooting for the Tide, you're rooting for the Dogs, and even though Pat Narduzzi says he doesn't care if he loses by 100 this weekend, you're rooting for
Which
Pitt.
Is stupid.
Did you
not
see this, Cory?
No.
He was asked, like, do you take this game as seriously as your ACC games? And Pat Narduzzi came out and said, no, we don't care about this game. We need to win our ACC games. We can lose 110-0 this weekend, and I would not care.
Okay, that's just dumb.
It's Pat Narduzzi. Like, that's just what he does. But you're rooting for Pitt, who is a ranked team as of now against Notre Dame. And game day is in the Steel City this weekend.
Yeah, there you go.
But for Vanderbilt, the other 2 teams that you are rooting against the rest of the way both reside in Utah, BYU and Utah. They are currently ranked ahead of you. I don't know if a Vanderbilt win over Tennessee would be enough to leapfrog them if those 2 teams don't lose the rest of the way. But it would be very interesting to see what the committee does if you end up having, because Utah already has 2 losses to BYU and Texas Tech. So I would think at the end of the year,
that's
a 10-2 Vandy gets in over a 10-2 Utah.
The Big 12 10-2 is not getting in over the SEC 10-2.
The wins for Utah are UCLA, Cal Poly, Wyoming, West Virginia, Arizona State, Colorado, and Cincinnati.
You know, something we have not talked about as we're arguing about this, because I said none of Vanderbilt's wins are now over ranked teams. You want Missouri and LSU to win out.
Yes.
And get back into the poll.
Rankings. Yes.
Get back into the poll. As I was looking over both of them, neither of them has what you would call a marquee impressive win.
Yeah. No, it's true.
They look like the best of the average teams.
Right. The SEC is deep, but those teams in the middle, it's not quite enough to pull your resume up. Right.
No, I mean, they're not good enough to beat the good teams, but they're beating the bad teams.
Right. Like Vanderbilt does not have a win over an SEC team ranked in front of them. They have not beaten, obviously A&M's undefeated. You haven't beaten Alabama or Georgia.
You've
or
had
Ole
2
Miss.
chances.
Right.
Well, now LSU was ahead of them when we played.
That is true.
So yeah, but I mean, they're not now.
Yes.
But you know, that's how the season plays out. That's why the end of the season rankings mean more than the beginning of the season rankings.
Right. At the end of the year, if it comes down to Vanderbilt at 10-2, against BYU at 11-2 with both their losses to Texas Tech, including one in the Big 12 championship. That is going to be a massive decision for the committee because
it is. And I think margin of victory or defeat in the championship game will matter.
Right.
Because they got housed by Texas Tech this weekend.
Yes, 29-7.
And I think if they get housed again, then I think you would say you played yourself out of that spot. But if you're competitive like SMU was last year, and you say, hey, we're a playoff team, we're right there with these guys, then they'll probably take you. So I think optics matter mightily in that game.
Yeah.
Now, what if I'm not advocating anything, Tennessee fans, so don't get mad at me. But what if Vanderbilt goes to Knoxville and wins like 38-10?
That is definitely a fact. If Vandy goes in there and blows out Tennessee, which
I don't think it's going to happen. I think their defense is not good enough, but I'm just bringing up a what if.
It's going to be a close game, but if it did happen, I think that is an important data point of like, all right, this Vandy team, that's the lasting impression you leave on the committee is that you just went into Neyland Stadium and rocked Tennessee.
Yep.
I think that would definitely be a factor as well.
So I think there's some optics in these last games.
Yes, but you're also just root against BYU and Utah the rest of the way.
And root for Missouri and LSU.
It's unlikely that BYU and Utah lose. BYU does play Cincinnati in Cincinnati. That is a game that will not be easy for the Cougars. And if they lose that, I think if BYU loses that game and you get a little help this weekend, 10-2 Vandy's in no matter what. But you also you're going to need some help. BYU also plays TCU this weekend and UCF at the end of the year. Utah's remaining schedule: Baylor, Kansas State, and Kansas.
We have seen in the Big 12 and in the ACC the good, not great teams tripping up late.
Yeah.
And that's why I continue to say there's going to be some losses here you're not expecting.
Yeah.
And shoot, one of them could be Vanderbilt at Kentucky next week.
For sure.
But I'm just, people always think, oh, well, this team will win out. This team will win out. It's not going to happen.
Look at the ACC the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
It was Miami and Georgia Tech at the top.
Yep.
They both stumble against SMU and NC State. And then this week it was,
Virginia.
All right, you got Virginia and Louisville up there. Virginia loses to Wake Forest.
Oh, my
home.
God. Did I need Virginia to lose? Because I'm like, this is not one of the 12 best teams in the country.
I always need Virginia to lose. I was getting tired of them.
But I was like, they are not a playoff caliber team.
No, they are not. And I would love the only thing I would have loved more is for UVA to be in a playoff spot heading into the final game of the year and to still lose to Virginia Tech because that's what they always do. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. That wraps up hour number 2. We're going to get into the Predators a little bit on the other side. The Preds are overseas in Sweden and they're coming off 5 straight losses. Is it
8 of 9?
Yeah. It's
eight,
they won the opener. They've now lost 13 of 17 too. 4 overtime losses in there as well. But
I don't know what I'm allowed to say with this. It's getting to be time.
We're going to talk about is this the last chance for them to turn things around as they face the Penguins for 2 in Stockholm? We'll do that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday, broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Fun show so far. We'll talk more Titans in this final hour as they get ready to come off the bye week and face the Texans on Sunday. But the Predators are in Sweden for the Global Series games against the Penguins, I should say.
We cast them out.
Yes, they are
Leave.
out there in Stockholm, and that is a 1 p.m. puck drop on Friday.
Right, all right.
So Max Hers will be with us on Friday from 11 to noon, leading right into pregame coverage on Friday afternoon. And then on Sunday, an 8 a.m. puck drop from Sweden. So coverage gets going at 7 a.m.
You know what I love about those games? It makes it so much easier to do your 6 and 10 show.
Yeah.
It's just
right.
Oh, it's done. There we go.
Right. Don't have to wait for the 9 o'clock, the game to end at 9.
9:45.
Nice and early. That game on Sunday will be over before 11. You can dual screen it with Commanders and who in Madrid on Sunday.
You could say those games are already over.
The Predators not playing well right now. 5 straight losses.
No.
They are still 4 points out of a playoff spot, but it's with 6 teams in between them and the playoffs.
They were a point out of last I checked.
Right.
Are
so
they still there or are they in last?
Let me check the standings. And when I say 4 points out, I actually that was from last night. So let's see. Maybe they fell even further back.
They
are 5 points out of a playoff spot, but they are 4 points ahead of the Calgary Flames, who are the worst team in the sport with 10 points so far this season.
The Preds are not good, and they're not going to the playoffs. And Barry Trotz has to make some hard decisions.
Yep,
he does. I'm not going to advocate for which one. I mean, I guess I could if you pressed me on it, but he can fire the coach and find a coach who plays a system that works towards what these guys do well.
Yeah.
He can get rid of the guys who don't fit the system, eat half their salaries to get rid of them, because that's what he's going to have to do, and bring up the young kids and just say, all right, go skate up and down the ice, because that's what Andrew wants to do. And so he can do, those two things. Or he can just, continue to hope that the buy-in is there and that it all comes together.
Right.
And that has proven that strategy isn't going to work.
Yeah. And I think it might end up turning into the end of 2023 when, you ended up firing John Hines and you let the young guys run, and they still almost found their way into a playoff spot.
Yep.
You'd like to see some of those young guys come up. Matt Wood has been great since he's made his debut a couple of weeks ago.
It's amazing when you sit in front of the net and work hard, you can score goals. It's a good lesson for most of the guys on that team. There are a couple of other guys. Ryan O'Reilly will do all that stuff. And anybody who brings up trading Ryan O'Reilly, I'm a hard no.
Yeah,
I'm a hard no.
We enlightened you on his comments from last week saying that he's horrible. He can't make a 6-foot pass.
That reminds me of Tomas Vokoun. Tomas Vokoun was impossibly hard on himself when he was the Predators goalie. He'd be after the game, they'd lose like 3-2, and he'd be like, I am worst goalie in the world. I am terrible. I am horrible. He'd do like 200 push-ups in between periods because he'd be so mad at himself for letting a goal in. But yeah, look, Ryan O'Reilly is not a part of the problem.
Yeah, it's a culture piece, but he's also one of the few guys that you can move on from and get some valuable assets back in return. Like,
they've got enough assets.
They do
3 first-round picks last year.
Yeah, and they got lots of prospects. It is nice to look and say that this Preds team, the future is bright, because there are.
Well, if they picked well, it is.
Well, you look at least the way they're playing right now.
Yeah.
You like the way that Brady Martin has played since he went back to juniors. He's made some plays. Tanner Molendijk
I'd like to see
Andrew
him make
Gibson.
plays in Nashville.
Yeah, we were saying during the break, I don't know why he didn't play his 9 games. He wasn't being used, but
what would that have hurt?
They were treating him with kitty gloves, and we'll see him again in 2026. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Thoughts on the Preds on our text line. Justin from Greenbrier says, seriously, it's like the Titans and Preds drank from the same stupid well. They both should have cut their losses in the offseason with the coaches and didn't. Now, if the Preds get rid of Brunette, it's almost another wasted season. I know the players haven't gelled on the ice, and it's not all on the coach, but he is the common denominator, just like Callahan.
Well, and also they both invested in veterans that didn't pay off.
Right. You look at those off seasons in 2024, and you think, man, they did the same thing. The Titans tried to accelerate their rebuild and bring in Calvin Ridley and L'Jarius Sneed, and it's blown up in their faces. The Preds did something similar, although you could argue the Predators at least had reason to go after it.
They thought they were going to be a top 4 team in the conference and to be a Stanley Cup contender. And nobody thought that with the Titans. We thought maybe they could get close to 500.
Right. That is the difference. Is the Predators, it logically made sense for them to try and go for it. The Titans, not so much.
Stamkos, nobody the Titans signed measures up to Stamkos' career.
No, not
555 career goals when they brought him in.
Right.
But it's been a disaster.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no other way to put it. It's been a disaster.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll get to some more of your texts on the Preds. Also, there has been some talk about UC Saros possibly being available despite just starting his 8-year extension. We'll talk about that as well on the other side. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, talking Preds here in the final hour. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly with you. Predators are in Sweden. They'll take on the Penguins for 2 on Friday and Sunday before returning stateside, and it's not going well for the Preds. 5 straight losses, 8 out of 9, and we're taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and there's a lot of comments about when does the blame turn to Barry Trotz?
Yeah.
I think Andrew Burnett is the next one who's going to get held accountable if it continues to trend in this direction. But you also do have to look at Barry Trotz. I think the early returns on his draft picks have been good, but obviously you set back this franchise by making those huge deals in the summer of 2024.
Well, he talked about it. He said, you're kind of playing fantasy hockey, and, it doesn't mean it's going to work. And it didn't work.
Yep.
You can spend money, but they still have to fit what you want to do. And they weren't a fit. It's like we talked about with Cam Ward and Will Levis with Brian Callahan. Not a fit for what he wanted to do. He wanted a surgeon, and both those guys are gunslingers.
Right.
All right. And you want to play fast and get up and down the ice, and you brought in 2 aging veterans.
Yeah.
Who don't. And, Barry deserves blame for that. Now, Barry also had 3 first-round picks last year. He deserves credit for that.
Yep.
And if he gets those picks right, he deserves even more credit for that. And that's why I say you can blame Burnett, and believe me, I'm not sitting here trying to say, oh, he's blame-free. But you could also just blame the decision. I guess if you're Barry and you cut those 2 guys loose and you trade them off, you're blaming yourself.
Right.
You're saying, hey, this was my fault. This was not a fit for the organization. He is still a good coach. I did not give him what he needed. And that, to me, if you're going to keep Andrew around, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
You got to say, hey, this was my mistake. And Barry, in his world, he's got the weight to do that.
Yeah.
He can survive that. There's a lot of GMs who couldn't survive that. Barry Trotz can survive that in Nashville without question. But, otherwise, if you're not going to make that change, then Burnett is going to get fired because that's the only string you've got to pull.
Right. Something has to change, and they elected to go through the offseason without making any real significant changes. You brought in Nick Hague, you brought in Nick Perbix, you brought in Eric Holla, but that's not going to change the overall makeup of your team.
No.
And at this point, you're not going to be able to make a whole lot of changes with the players. You would think that a move on the coaching side might be coming at some point. But I saw somebody say that the Preds might clean house midseason and take Trotz too. I don't think so. I think there's a lot of trust in Barry Trotz to get this thing right. Maybe that's not what it should be, but
what would they do? Bring Poyle back?
Right. Like you're not going to make a move with the GM and the head coach midseason.
No.
Like they're maybe that's an off-season thing, but we will see. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Edward is on the line wanting to chime in. Edward, thanks for calling. What you got for us?
Hey, guys, can you hear me okay?
Yep, we got you.
I'm not well-versed in hockey, but to me, I am in business. I run a fairly large corporation. And to me, there's a song that REO Speedwagon had called Riding the Storm Out. I don't think we're doing that in sports. I mean, I saw the New York Giants just can a coach that I think's good. I think Peter Laviolette, 2017, he was winning before he got to the Nashville Predators. I'm not sure what he's doing right now. Like I said, I'm not well-versed in hockey. But that's who I would have. To me, that's where I would be right now. I would be with him. And we talk about Amy Adams Trump. She gets a heck of a lot of blame, ownership. And I do think that is correct blame. How come we don't hear about the owners of the Predators? Where is their issue here? Where do they fall in? Like I said, it sounds like you guys are a lot more well-versed in hockey than I could ever be. But if you could comment about those things, I would appreciate it.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you for the call,
well,
Edward.
Jim Haslam is the owner of the Nashville Predators now, and he is a very behind the scenes owner, the more traditional sense.
Right.
And he has entrusted his hockey team to Barry Trotz.
Yep.
And we just talked about, Barry has made some decisions that have worked out. You would say these are good decisions for the future, but the decisions for the now have not worked.
Yeah.
And so you would say you expected to be you would expect to be bad some in this process.
Right.
But when he brought in those guys last year, it raised the expectation. And that simply did not happen. And that has thrown the whole thing kind of off balance. And I think the job of the owner is to hire good people, just like in a business with yourself, and let them do their jobs.
Yep.
And there's a difference between a bad day, a bad week, and a bad month. And that's what you have to determine is, how much of what they're doing is positive, how much is negative, and are they worth moving forward with? And, Jim Haslam's been a governor, been a successful businessman, and, he's going to have to make that decision.
Matthew in Nashville asks, is there any chance the Preds could fleece a couple of teams into taking our guys on expiring contracts, or Stamkos with 2 years left for a nice haul of draft picks? He's done it before with Tanner Jeannot and Mikhail Gramlin.
I don't think, number one, Stamkos is expensive. Okay?
Yeah, I don't really see Stamkos moving.
And you're going to have to you're going to have to eat half his salary in a deal. Okay. And, you're probably not going to, the return isn't going to be as good as you want because the team is going to be taking on more salary than they want.
Yeah.
That's kind of how some of that works. Like you talked about, Ryan O'Reilly might have like the most value, but I think he has more value playing with your young hockey players to me. But we wait and we see. I would expect Eric Halla to get traded again, and for like third round pick, something like that.
It'd be the equivalent of like the Draymond Jones trade. You brought him in for 1 year, and you're able to add a little extra value on the way out.
Now Saros is the one where you could get a 1,
right?
And so if you want a 1, and the problem is, so you trade him to Edmonton, right?
That's the team that if you're looking for a team that would. But trade for 8 years of UC Saros, it would be Edmonton.
But what's that 1?
It's at the very back of the draft. Yes,
so
it's almost
2. So you're going to want a 1 and more.
Yes,
because it's so far back in the draft. And so, if that's the one big string to pull at the trade deadline, along, you've got the smaller moves that you could make.
Yeah.
With Eric Halla, you could decide if Luke Evangelista is a part of your future or not. You could probably get something for him.
Right.
And that's a decision you have to make. But it's going to be tough to trade the two expensive guys, Stamkos and Marchessault, and get a big return.
Right.
More than anything, you're just trying to get as much of their money off the books as you can.
Right. When you have those expensive contracts, usually the return's not going to be very good because the team doesn't want to take on all that money.
I mean, they had this with Kyle Turris and with Ryan Johansson.
Yeah.
And
they just had to buy them out.
And they waited too long.
Yeah.
They waited too long. They should have just taken the hit sooner. And we'll see how much stomach Barry has for that.
Are they still paying Kyle Turris?
I think they should be done by now.
They might be over now.
But I don't know about Ryan Johansson.
And Matt Duchene, I think they're still paying too.
Are they really still paying? Yeah. Okay. What even hurts is he's played well in Dallas.
I kind of want to see who the Predators are still paying, because I know there's a few that are definitely not on the team anymore. Buyout. They are still paying. Oh man, they're still paying Kyle Turris through 2028.
Are they really? How much is it? $2 million?
$2 million a year for the next 3 seasons.
Is he still in the National Hockey League?
I don't think so. He is retired. And then Matt Duchene, they're paying through 2029.
That's like a Bobby Bonilla deal.
Oh man, yeah.
I think we got like 10 more years of Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah,
I think it's like 2035.
Yeah, I know it's coming up. His $1 million a year. It's July?
Yeah, pretty soon he won't be able to buy like a hamburger for that.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's go back to our phone lines. Mike from Gallatin is on the line. Mike, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
No worries. Hey, guys, so you started to allude it a little bit. If you mentioned it already, then I apologize. But finding any possible way to offload Steven Stamkos and or Marchessault? I know, again, it's hard, but again, if there's a Canadian team or somebody that would like to have Stamkos, and we would have to probably, I mean, I'm at this point where I probably understand that we would have to probably give Stamkos away, like all of like the PK Subban deal. Like, I think a lot of the
they got
Predators
2 2s for Subban. That's an okay deal.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. But I think fans also were thinking, like, again, because there's a lot of Predators fans and other fans in general sports that expect when you trade your best player away or somebody that you assume has name value like that.
Because he's not their best player anymore. He's got name value, and that's it.
Right. So what realistically would have to happen to make us be able to offload Stamkos? Because I feel like that has to be what I assume Stamkos would want that for himself too. You would think. Right?
I don't think he's real happy here. Now he's got he's going to have to waive his no trade clause, so that would be one thing.
Thanks, Mike.
And as we said, number one, they're going to have to eat at least half a salary. And it was the salary, like 8.5,
8 million,
8 million. So they're going to have to eat 4 million of that minimum. And then, but I like his notion about going to a Canadian team.
Yeah.
And Montreal is back, and Toronto is always playing fantasy hockey. So I think those two teams would be good places to start.
It's a good point because I do think Stamkos probably would want out. I think he is seriously probably regretting his decision to come here, and nothing to do with the Predators. I don't think it's just, it wasn't a fit. It was a square peg in a round hole.
But we don't know how many other choices he had.
That is a good point as well. And 8 million for this year and 2 years after that. Jonathan Marchessault is 5.5 for the next 3 seasons after this.
Yeah.
And both of those guys have no movement clauses. So
they both have to waive them.
Right.
But so let me ask. So assuming you could get somebody to take half of Stamkos's money, 4 million a year, what's the minimum you would take in exchange for that?
I don't know. I mean, you'd want probably a third at the minimum.
That's what I was thinking.
Right?
I'm like a 3rd round pick and $4 million
right
for Stevens. You just
want
him
to get him off the books.
Yeah.
That, I think that's probably what you would be looking at.
Yeah.
And again, the other options you have to trade, you got expiring contracts for Michael Bunting, Eric Haula.
Bunting plays hard.
Bunting,
though.
I like Bunting. I think
Bunting is more of what they want.
Right. I don't think you would trade him. He might be somebody that you want to bring back.
But if he Bunting on like your 2nd or 3rd line, I don't really have much problem.
No, me neither. I think he's been one of the few guys this year that you actually feel good about the way he's played. So lots of decisions to be made for the Predators. They are well outside the playoff picture right now, 5 points back as they head over to Sweden. They'll take on the Penguins for 2 over the weekend.
The Penguins are not good.
They are not. The Penguins are in a playoff spot right now, but they're
not the Penguins.
They're the 3 seed in the Metropolitan Division right now.
Okay.
So they're better than the Predators.
Yes, they
but
are.
These are winnable games for the Preds overseas. And again, if they want to turn things around, you're starting to run out of time.
I will be stunned if they come home with a point.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll get back into the Titans on the other side. 30 minutes to go in the show. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis from News 2, Parker Kelly with you on this Wednesday. Couple more segments. We'll dive back into the Titans here, coming off the bye, about to hit the practice field within the next hour, and we will see what the health situation looks like for the Titans.
Yeah, I mean Simmons,
Ridley,
Key,
Bryce Oliver.
Bryce should be there.
Yeah.
Bryce has been back. He was
right.
He was just a scratch last game because I think they were just trying to make sure. On IR recall right now,
Mullings
and Mike Brown.
Yes.
So they could be in position to get a bunch of players back.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to say it doesn't make a difference. Well, it does. It does. I mean, if you can, we haven't seen Simmons and Sweat together.
Right. For more than a couple of snaps.
Yeah.
Like they played a little bit together in week 1 before Sweat got hurt. Yeah. And then they played for 10 snaps in that game against the Patriots before Simmons went out. So yeah, it'll be exciting to see if Jeffrey Simmons and Calvin Ridley can be back out there. I mean, again, we've talked about it that right now you are playing without your 3 highest paid players.
Well, and I'd also like to see Ridley, Io Manor, and DK in the slot.
Yep.
I mean, that's a lot faster team than you've had.
Yes.
And by the way, also send DK out past the line of scrimmage.
They've finally been doing that, and it's funny how it works out that he actually turns into a decent receiver when he doesn't have more yards after catch than total receiving yards.
Yeah.
Cam Ward needs to start showing some growth.
Yep.
You know, you talk about how it's been disappointing, but you see the traits, you've seen some flashes. Mike McCoy talked about the way they've worked with Ward on trying to get him to improve, whether it's mechanically with his footwork or the way he's lining himself up towards the target, his decision making. I think Sunday could be important for him. As I talked about it yesterday, your first 9 weeks, you're drinking through a fire hose of all right, every week we've got a game plan and figure out what we can do against this defense. He's had a week off to kind of take a step back.
Yep.
And I'd like to see him take some strides after what I would call a step back against the Chargers.
I will be disappointed if this team is not better on Sunday. And I'm not saying dramatically better, they're going to beat the Texans, but just I expect, like you said, I expect it to calm down.
Yeah.
All right. I expect the third down numbers to be a little bit better. You know their pass rush is going to come after you.
Yeah.
You know Anderson and Hunter are coming on the edges. Game plan for it. Game plan for it. You give them some help. Or have that quick read and make the quick read.
Yep.
And get the guy the football in position to make plays with it. You know, you can. Teams do it. Teams do it all the time. It has been done
before.
All right, and so you know, I don't know why I expect them to be better, but I do. I expect them. I expect it to calm down and be a little bit better. I mean, they've had a lot happen, you know, with the coaching change and everything. And I do think Mike McCoy is efforting to streamline and simplify some things. And I think that's absolutely what he needs to do. And so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. You've got a lot of young players who have been thrust into big roles, especially lately. I mean,
and I'm good with that.
Right.
I'm good with seeing Kevin Winston play,
but it can sometimes be a little overwhelming for those guys. I mean, we've seen Alec Iamaner has regressed from the beginning of the year.
I don't know if he's regressed or just not progressed.
Yeah, maybe that's a better way of putting it.
He's just kind of the same guy he was.
He has not gotten better.
Yeah.
And the stats have fallen back to earth a little bit.
I mean, he's pretty much 3 catches for like 36 yards every game.
Yeah.
You know, and he'll make a play that you go, oh, that's good. And then he'll drop one. You go, oh, okay. But again, they're not on the field offensively long enough for any of these guys to put up inflated numbers.
Yeah.
That's why when Chim DK has that one big game where he had 6 catches.
Yeah.
And you know, you're like, wow, whoa, volume. And so you'd like to see more of these guys get volume by the offense staying on the field.
Yeah.
Win or lose, again, I'm a fan's worst nightmare because I am not as worried about that as how the team is playing.
Yeah.
Look, if the Titans go out and they convert 40% of their third downs and they lose this game 27-23, and you know, Io Manor has 6 catches for 74 yards and DK has 5 for 71.
Yeah.
I'm going to be pretty happy.
Right. I think we talked about the to tank or not to tank argument. I think you hope to see progression, but the team still comes up short in some of these games, right? Like the team doesn't have to tank to lose football games.
No, they
They've
don't.
proven that.
No,
but you want to see the young guys who you think are part of this team's future start to show that they're progressing in the right direction.
You don't want to, like, I always bring this up. This was Mike Mularkey's second year. They played the Rams at Nissan Stadium, and it was a great football game, and they lost. But it was a great football game. The Rams went to the Super Bowl that year.
Right.
And you were just like, wow, they played great. They just lost to a better team. We need to stop having games end and just going, this play,
horrible.
this play, this decision.
Yeah.
We need to just have a game and go, okay, they played hard. They were
lost.
right there. They just weren't good enough. All right. That guy's just better than their guy. We need some of that.
Right. It's perfectly acceptable for this team to get beat because they're not very talented.
Yeah.
That's going to happen, but you have to see that the team at the very least is moving in the right direction, especially
the quarterback.
Your young quarterback, your young players. And you mentioned Kevin Winston. Quandre Diggs granted his release, mutually agreed to part ways.
I think they probably told him, hey, we're going to start playing the kid.
Right.
Do you want to stay or do you want to try to hook on somewhere else?
Yeah.
I don't know that for a fact. That's my guess.
I would guess that was probably a similar situation with Tyler Lockett. They told him, hey, we're going to start playing Jim DK more.
Yeah.
Would you want to stay or go somewhere else? And he decided to go. And he was on the field more for the Raiders on Thursday night.
And guess what? The Titans are 32 in my power rankings and the Raiders are 31.
There you go. Moving up a spot. Went to bed 1-8, woke up 2-7.
Woohoo!
Quandre Diggs is gone.
Terrible.
They are not good. That was like
they beat the Patriots.
The Thursday night game and the Monday night game both ended 10-7. But
10-7.
Are we expanding it?
Stop.
But that Thursday night game was just horrible football.
It was. In my power rankings, I wrote with the Raiders. The Raiders were so bad Thursday night, they almost made me hate football.
Yeah.
Almost.
They set offensive football back.
They're terrible.
Years.
They're terrible. And, it's a wasted year for Ashton Genty, which is a shame because I was excited to see him play. It's a wasted year for Brock Bowers.
Right.
And I know he's been hurt some.
Hey, he put up some numbers in that Jaguars game.
Yes. But, I mean, they've got star players when you look at Bowers and Max Crosby.
Yes.
But they need a lot more.
That is the difference between Titans and a lot of these other bad teams. Is most of the bad teams you can look at and say, well, there's a piece there. And like Jeffrey Simmons is the one guy the Titans have, but the Browns have Myles Garrett. The Jets had Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner, and Garrett Wilson. They traded two of those guys
and
away.
Breece Hall.
Like the Raiders have Brock Bowers and Ashton Genty and Max Crosby, who you all feel like can be top of their position. Titans don't have a ton of those guys right now.
No, they don't.
And it's not led to very watchable football this season, but we'll see. Coming off the bye week, maybe they'll be able to make some plays. We'll continue to talk Titans on the other side. We'll also wrap things up. I'll give you my quick preview on the Vandy game tonight at Austin Peay. Vandy men's basketball also playing tonight as well against Eastern Kentucky. So
they've scored 105 points in back-to-back games.
Yes, they have.
And by the way, not ranked, but on the coaches poll, they're 26.
Yes, so they are just outside.
So
the poll.
people are noticing that they're good. They really like their team, the Vandy men, and they think they can contend in the SEC this year.
Yeah.
And I owe Mark Byington an apology. I didn't think he was a very inspired hire when they made it. He has done an unbelievable job. He has far exceeded everything that I expected, and I give him a wholehearted high five. Well done.
Yeah, making the NCAA tournament with a team full of transfers last year. He was able to hold on to a couple pieces this year and brings in another wave of talent. And
they got bigger.
They
can still shoot.
They can put the ball in the bucket. Chance to go see them tonight at Memorial Gym. 615-737-1025. Last call for phones. We'll wrap up the show after this. Jake Lyman, Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly. Next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final segment with Cory Curtis from News 2. Jake Lyman with you. Parker Kelly behind the glass. Chasing Big Joe coming up at the top of the hour. Final thoughts on this Wednesday. Want to preview the games tonight. We were just talking about Vandy men's basketball. Man, they can put the ball in the hoop. 4405 does make the point, though, about Tennessee on the other side of the state. Nate Ament, the freshman out there, is legit.
I just hear he's Kevin Garnett. That's
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, Kevin Durant.
Which makes me very nervous.
Yeah, I hear he's Kevin Durant.
That is a high bar to climb over, but he has gotten off to a good start. When does Tennessee play next, Parker?
Tonight versus North Florida.
There we go,
6
man.
p.m. on SEC Network Plus.
We got lots of basketball tonight.
I have 2 minutes at 10.
How are you going to fit all of it in?
No, I'm not.
We got Vandy men's basketball, Vandy women's basketball, MTSU men's basketball, and Tennessee men's basketball.
Somebody winds up on the editing floor.
There you go. 4405 also says, just want to say the Nashville SC jacket is tough. Sucks that we drew Miami so early.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate matchup.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it happens. I tell you what, I was at the Saturday night game in Nashville that they won.
Yeah,
best game I've ever been to. And it was miserable out. It was 50 and raining.
Yeah, that was
horrible.
Not a good Saturday for a game.
But I saw 4 guys leave that game with cramps when it was 50 and raining, which tells you how hard they were playing.
Right.
I mean, Matt Corcoran, the 19-year-old, was unbelievable. Unbelievable. He was unrecognizable. He was so good.
Yeah.
And Josh Bauer he scored a goal, and that's what everybody's going to remember. He was fantastic. And that was a really, really enjoyable game to go to. I was under no illusions they were going to win in Miami. It was an unfortunate matchup, but you know what? If you're going to win the MLS Cup, you got to beat them at some point.
Yeah,
and
you're going to see them,
and it just tells you something. You got to get better. They need more talent.
Yep,
they need more talent.
Joey from Bellevue says, speaking of Nashville SC, I just saw that Walker Zimmerman will test free agency. What's your take on that?
Look, I love Walker, and I would like for him to finish his career here, but he's older, and Jason Palacios was, in my opinion, better than him at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Palacios will be back next year or not, but a Mayer Palacios tandem in the back. And you've also got, the 6'9", 17-year-old coming up, Noah Applewhite.
Okay.
Isn't that what's his name? I'm getting that wrong. But I mean, he's 17 years old and on the team. He played some this year, and my brain.
Chris
Applewhite. Yeah, Chris Applewhite. He's 17. He played some, started a couple games, and he's going to be the future. And the thing about a guy like Walker is they would like to have him back.
Yeah.
But back and pay him for the player that he is now,
right, and
not the player that he was, and accept the role for who he is now and not the player that he was. Because my guess is they would pay him. I don't know how much he'd be worth. I don't know any MLS salaries that well, and bring him back and then bring him off the bench,
right,
for the last 20 minutes of games.
Yeah,
that kind of a Teal Bunbury role, but at defense. But he's probably going to want to go somewhere and play.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to begrudge a guy for that.
Every team wants to get younger and cheaper. And, well, I mean, again, with Walker Zimmerman, the pedigree is going to allow him to sign for more money.
Probably. But I mean, he's your captain, and that hurts. And so, but you've got Hani, and you've got Sam Surridge, and you've got young players like Ahmed Kassim and coming up, and, Eddie Tagseth had a big year. And like I talked about, Matt Corcoran was great. He was great. And, you bringing back Nahar and Palacios because they were huge parts to this team. And so, Walker missed a big chunk of the season.
Yeah.
And so you saw life without him, and it wasn't quite so scary. And again, that's me saying I would love to have him back. He's a pillar.
Yeah.
And it's tough to see those guys
It's
go.
just at the right price and in the right role, and we'll see how it works out. But overall, successful season for Nashville SC. You win the U.S. Open Cup, and you make it to the playoffs after last season. So good to see you over there. 4405 also says, been watching the Michaela Blake's tape. She really is legit. Next, Caitlin Clark. And honestly, I think by Michaela's standards, the first 2 games haven't been her best. I mean, she been a little inefficient shooting the ball compared to last year where she was shooting in the mid 40% from the floor. And so we'll see tonight up in Clarksville if she had 27 against Cal, 15 against Furman on Monday.
They had 6 in double figures.
Right.
And the other thing is she's not as ball dominant as she was.
Yes.
So it's going to look a little bit different this year.
Having a true point guard like Aubrey Galvin to distribute, it opens up a lot for this team because last year Michaela had to be that point guard, and she'll still do it this year, but she's better off the ball, and this team is better with her.
They had a backdoor layup for her last night. Do you remember the play I'm talking about? And I was like, okay, that couldn't happen last year.
Right.
And I was like, boom.
And if you want to come out and watch this team, like Michaela, of course, is the selling point to come out. You got to come and see her. She is unbelievable. But if you're looking for somebody who's going to give you highlight moments, Aubrey Galvin is that. She had a couple of no-look passes the other day.
Electric.
She does it. She even does it on some of the plays she doesn't have to, but it looks cool.
I'm not going to try to say her name, but the young lady from Texas,
Jackalingam Wenentanda.
Yeah, she has been a really nice addition.
And she's shooting from 3, which is something she didn't do at Texas. She was 1 of 18 from 3-point land.
She's a double threat.
Yeah. She's 3 for 4 from outside so far this season.
No, she's a nice addition.
So excited for tonight. That's a 6:00 tip up in Clarksville, 5:45 on 94.9 The Fan. I'm going to make my way up there and hopefully come back with the doors at 3-0. Cory, always great having you on.
It was great being here. I'm glad we got to fight a little bit.
Yeah, we got it. We got it.
How about this? Let's make a deal. Let's talk about a Titans victory next week.
Let's do it. Let's see if we can make that happen next Wednesday. We'll have Cory back on Wednesday. Tomorrow, Teron Davenport is with us for the full show. We'll talk to Andrew Allegretta and get into all of that as well. For Cory Curtis, Parker Kelly, I'm Jake Lyman signing off. Chasing Big Joe coming up next here on 102.5 The Game.